Welcome, everybody, to the second episode of At Your Own Pace.
Can we do it?
When you're first starting out, like, it's gonna be hard. That doesn't mean that you don't belong there.
I can do whatever, and it's just me being a ridiculous dad that wants to do some good in the world.
Keep moving forward. It's like a Walt Disney quote. Whatever that means to you, that time, that day, that race, just keep moving.
I can do this, I am going to do this, and I will do this. At least for the 99.9% of us who are not elite runners and we don't do this as a job, and we're doing this because we want to, we should at least have fun with it.
It's forced me to get myself uncomfortable, and I think I've started to get that comfort with the uncomfortable.
Why don't I deserve a chance to be happy and not beat myself up over a bad run?
In more ways than one, running probably saved my life.
This is where we highlight runners of all backgrounds, all paces and finish times, sharing our stories that impact and inspire us, connect us, and celebrate our community. This is where we stop focusing on the mile splits and we start focusing on the miles that we live, because every single runner out there has a story that's worth telling, and it's something that can inspire everyone around them who might be facing something similar. This is an area where you won't hear about PRs, but you'll hear about the mental battles, you'll hear about the moments of profound connection, the personal healing, and the sheer joy that's found on the roads, on the trails, and on the tracks. Today's guest is someone who really represents what this podcast is all about. If you follow Marathon Mads 94, you know that her content isn't flashy. It's not performative. It's consistent. It's honest. And it's rooted in the work. She is a running coach herself, and she knows that the early alarms, the long runs that don't always feel good, and the quiet discipline it takes to keep showing up through an entire marathon cycle, she knows just how difficult that can be and also how it pays off in the end. She doesn't chase trends or validations. She documents the process, and that is why so many runners connect with her and trust her with her training. I'm excited to talk to her about her relationship with the marathon, how she approaches training when motivation isn't high, which all of us face at some point, and what running at her own pace actually looks like behind the scenes. So without further ado, Maddie, I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Mike.
Of course. How are you doing?
Good. It's almost Friday. It's almost the holidays. It's a crazy time of year, but one day at a time.
Oh yeah. How's your training been going?
It's good. I am doing the Tokyo Marathon as my next race.
Nice.
It's sort of that 11 weeks away mark.
Mhm.
So not the nitty gritty. I'm still kind of just coming off of the recovery of kind of taking the fall a little bit lighter. No marathons this fall. And then once the new year comes, it'll all get a little bit fast paced.
Oh yeah. Have you done any of the other majors?
So Tokyo will actually be my 7th.
Yes, that's incredible.
I will get that 6-star medal, which I'm so excited for. I always kind of knew that would come in Tokyo, just being the far, at that time, the furthest one away. Now Sydney did that one. But as a teacher, taking the time off to go to those far away ones is a little bit more complicated, but it's happening.
That's incredible. That's so wonderful. I've done Tokyo twice, and it is probably my favorite, if not my second favorite of the majors. I haven't done Sydney, but I love Japan in general. I love Tokyo. The culture, the atmosphere of the city. Tokyo is, I can't even describe how wonderful it is. I grew up, no, I didn't grow up. I lived in New York City for about 17 years, and I thought that was the best city in the world. And then I went there, and because of running, I've been all over the world, and nothing tops that city. So I'm really excited for you to go there, take all the pictures, go to all the 7-Elevens.
Okay, that's what everyone is saying. I
Yes.
think my husband and I were big foodies and travelers, and I think we're equally excited for the culture aspect, the travel outside the race, and then the food. We're so excited.
Oh yeah. Shoot me a message on Instagram, because I have a couple
Yeah.
places that I would definitely recommend.
Will do. Thank
Awesome.
you.
No
Yeah.
problem. So what I want to start with is really talking about showing up and about consistency. you post a lot of, I know you say you're a teacher, so when that alarm goes off, and I'm not an early morning runner. I hate waking up in the morning. I'm a late night runner. I'll run at 11, 12 o'clock at night.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
what's the conversation that's going on in your head before you go out?
Yeah. So actually, with running, I am a 4 p.m. runner. I run right after work. Like I'm zipping home or like stopping at a park on the way home to beat the sunset. And so I think, and I've been getting into strength early morning. I've been taking like 5:30 a.m. strength. So to get up and know that like there's a group waiting for me if I don't show up to that strength class, like I get charged. So that's
Mm,
holding me accountable. But I really think running right after work is even more exhausting. I think I don't run before work just because it's so dark. And as a female runner, it's only if that happens, it's like once every 2 months, and it's because I have something that night. But I also don't have a next speed in the morning. Like it's my easy of easy
mm,
paces if I'm getting up at 4 in the morning to run. But 4 p.m. is a whole different beast because I teach at a year-round school, so I'm teaching sort of through the summer. So the July and August months, it's so hot. I live in North Carolina.
mm,
Um, but I think it's that kind of what I'm telling myself is the race can be any temperature, and I think what we're noticing as trends more than ever now is that races are leaning towards the
Runner.
warmer side.
Yeah.
I also think that running at 4 p.m. helps prepare me more for like the majors where you're not running until late morning, mid morning. And so getting my body adjusted to just going with the flow at any time of day. And if I can go crush a workout at 4 p.m., like after being on my feet all day at work, I feel really proud. And even if it's a bad workout, like I'm still doing it.
Absolutely. I mean, running after teaching students, and yeah, you are on your feet all day as a teacher. That's the only time you get is your prep and potentially your lunch to be able to sit down.
Yeah.
Oh man,
And
God
I
bless
talk
you
all
with
day.
that.
So when I go running, that's my time to just have it to myself and release all the crazy from the day. I can
Goodness.
tell on my rest days when I come home and I'm just like rambling on. I'm like, oh, I didn't run today. Like I'm
My
not
goodness.
exhausted.
I can only imagine the things that you hear and the things that you deal with. And yeah, getting that run in, if don't get that, my wife will be like,
Hmm.
you need to go run on your treadmill. Like please go deal with that before you come and talk to me because you're not all there and in the headspace to be able to have that conversation with me right now.
And I'm an art teacher, elementary level, and there's so many parallels to running for me and like how I teach these students and what they grow through their process of an art project. And I did my whole master's research on like that concept of flow
Mm,
with running. So I love kind of connecting what I'm doing for work and what I do for running. It's the
love
best.
that. I
Yeah.
love that. And I love how running also permeates into so many other portions of our lives
Oh
that when you first start running, you're like, I guess I'm doing this to get healthier. I'm doing this maybe to like de-stress if I can or find some outlet. But
yeah.
then you find out how it makes you a more confident person everywhere else and helps you deal with your problems everywhere else because of what you've learned. And that kind of leads into my next question. So you share a lot of not just your race day highlights, but your training, in the middle of the training, when the motivation, like sometimes you have like right now you've got 3.5 months until Tokyo. Um, motivation at this point is like I mean, you're right now. It's the winter. I hate running in the winter, but the winter months, it's kind of like everything's dying down. The major races are done, and we're kind of ramping up into the new year. And it can be a struggle at times, either at the beginning or right before training cycles, to get that motivation to go out there and run on your treadmill. Um, why is it important for you to show that part of the process?
I think it's just it's fun. I started that Instagram in 2017 when I was graduating college as just a way of documenting my journal. Like I didn't want to write a journal. I didn't want to write a book at the time. Wanted to showcase all the things that are in my daily routine. Marathons have been such a big part of me, just running in general, not just races. But I think showcasing that everything is not perfect. If we were only posting when we were racing and how it went, it wouldn't be as enjoyable as seeing the process.
Mhm.
And I think that ties back to what I do as an art teacher of just showing the kids that it's really about the process and not the final outcome.
Absolutely. Um, so we've talked about those moments where motivation can feel flat. How do you mentally get through the weeks where the training feels heavy and really long, and you're in the middle of it and you have a bad run? How do you get over that feeling and you realize quitting is not an option? I have to keep going.
Because bad runs happen all the time. I think just reminding myself that one bad run or one even missed run, if you have to skip it, or one run where you do a couple reps or one and you abort the whole mission,
Mhm.
uh, it still drops in the bucket. It's still miles. Most of all of our training is easy miles and hard workouts. Like if you have the ability to sort of shake it off and let it be what it is, because you're going to go back home, you're going to shower, you're going to go to bed, and you're going to wake up. It's a whole new day. Um, and I couldn't even tell you about a bad workout I did 2 months ago because you're not really going to remember that. And I think something that's helped me is I've kept, I think for the last 5 years, like a gratitude calendar. I order yearly calendars on Amazon and I write like one great thing that happened that day, running or not running. And I think if you focus on the positives, the negatives are sort of just gonna weed themselves out. Um, so there are weeks that are super heavy when you see that like 60, 50, whatever is peak mileage for you. And that's going to be different for everybody. But peak is, there's a word, that word for a reason. Like you are going to be hitting your max. And most of our jobs as just everyday people is not running. Most of us are not professional runners where this is our
Mhm.
job and we have the whole day to rest, recover, and go again. Uh, it's really about just maximizing the time that you have and making the most of it. Um,
Absolutely. No,
yeah.
I completely agree with you. It's funny. I had someone bring up how when you say you're about to do a marathon or a race and your mind immediately shifts to, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this. Regardless of whether or not you believe that, that subconscious thought is there the entire race and could run, could come up at any point from mile 1 to mile 26 and could immediately just blow your entire race because you break down as you run those races and that voice can get much stronger as you go through the miles.
Yeah. Our body doesn't know one stress from another. I think and I think that's why I post a lot too of just the journey because it is just as much mental as it is physical. I do think if you set out to do a marathon and you work towards it and do the best you can with your training, I think you can do one. Everyone can do one. Uh, but that whenever your mind turns off or says like this is hard, I believe the body follows suit. And I've had races where the moment I got negative in my head, like everything fell off. And I think this year, what I've done differently, because I had a tough race in the spring, and I was like, I didn't say I'm never doing marathons again, but I was like, Marathon Mads needs to not do a marathon. And then I was like, but I'm doing Boston, and then I have Sydney.
Mm,
So I had to do something because I couldn't just keep going on this wheel of like, oh, I'm going to do the same thing I've always been doing because that's insanity.
mhm,
So I think it was really great. Sydney this year did a program and it was free for all participants. And it was like a mental training and it went week by week and talked about different stuff. And it's like as simple as the word grit. We hear it all the time, but it really was like a journaling aspect. And I sort of meditated with that on my running. And I think Sydney was the best I've ever been in my head while I was racing. I did not want it to be over. And I'm just bringing that into the next races and hard workouts. Like yesterday was super windy and I'm just like, but how awesome is it that I get to be out here in shorts and it's windy, but it's great. So we can't fake it till we make it, but we do have to. I think runners have to remind ourselves why we're doing this in the first place.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the whole notion of we get to rather than we have to. If I mean, I've run 60 marathons, and the moment that it starts to become more of a not a requirement, but like something that just feels like I have to do it, then I need to start rethinking what I'm doing with my running journey.
Yes.
And I think that that's a really important thing to remember. And you know that this kind of talks about your relationship with pace, with your progress as you move forward. So as you've posted about your respect for your pace and the effort over your ego, which I think is a really huge thing that a lot of runners deal with, whether it's ego internally with ourselves or comparing ourselves to others, was learning to trust your pace. You know, you pointed out, you know, our easy runs, they have to be easy. We should focus on that,
Mhm.
rather than feeling like we have to, you know, go in a different direction. Is that something that you had to learn the hard way, or is that something? I know you talked about the gratitude journal, but is it something that you had to? Did it come easily? Did you have to really fight for it?
Pace as a number uh, is, and like our coaching brand is called Pace of Me Coaching, because the pace of me when I started running is not the pace of me now. The pace of my easy run yesterday was not the pace of my easy run last week. I think it's such a good marker to meet yourself where you're at, because when I started running, I could never have imagined the growth that would happen, not just in numbers, but who I am as a person. I've been doing marathons for 11 years now. So I think back to that 20-year-old girl who really just wanted to do one in college because nobody was doing them. And now I feel like everyone is doing one in college.
Yeah.
But it it's a way to meet yourself where you're at, pace. And as coaches too, we try to tell people pace is a feeling, not a number. And ways to do that would just be like going watchless or not looking at your watch. I don't do a lot of heart rate training, but I know it as a strategy. I just know that there's going to be days where I need to go slower. Some days I'll put on an audiobook because I know that makes me focus more and go slower.
Mhm.
But I think like in terms of the comparison trap, I think never more than now, like Strava, Instagram, people posting their stuff. I think there's definitely some markers that people think they have to hit, whether that's the 4 hour marathon, the BQ, the sub 3, the 8 minute mile. Something about the 8 minute mile. People are like, I can't be under, I can't be over. I'm like, no, everyone should really be over if you're
Mhm.
running X pace. There's no issue going there's no too slow. And I'm not even going to bring up all these numbers because one person's dream pace is another person's like
Yes.
beyond easy pace. So I think it's so cool that we can connect with people on this scale of like everything is relative. It's so
No,
cool.
I love what you said about your easy run is someone else's like max level, like
Yeah.
zone 5, like
Yeah.
anaerobic VO2 max run where they can only do it for 20 seconds and then
And we
they
should
feel like they
celebrate them
want to
all.
die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or someone who is running double that pace. You know,
Yeah.
it's all about meeting that person and the expectation of where they're at. And I love what you said about um, training by feeling, because there's so much technology out there. There's so much data that's collected now. And you hit the nail on the head with, oh my goodness, the Strava comparisons. I can't tell you, and I'm really guilty of this. So every time I run a race, it will tag me with like other people that did it as well. And I'll go and they'll be like, how did I do compared to them?
Pacing why, who fell off, who ran a
Yeah.
great.
And I'll see the people that are faster than me. I'll be like, if
Mhm.
only I could have gone, you know, 5 seconds faster on my mile, or run this mile faster, not walk this part, I would have been able to beat this person. It's such a huge issue in the running community now because of this comparison that we have, and it's everywhere. Like, even in my opinion, the big runner influencers that are out there, there's still a lot of comparison amongst them versus people who are either just getting started running or who are new to it, or even, ourselves, the people that are not professionals or anything like that. Yeah, no, it's such a massive issue, and I see it all the time, specifically on Threads because I post on there a lot, and I've seen so many people being like, running a 13-minute mile is not running, or you should be able to run a 6:30 mile with ease. And it's like, no, like you might be able to. That's fantastic. The Joe Schmo or Jane Doe who's trying to, take their first step. We're almost in the new year. Who's trying to take their first step January 1st. They're going to see that and they're going to go for a run. And like my wife is not a runner, but she um, has done some runs with me. She did her first 5K 2 years ago, and her exact words, I tell everybody this, her exact words were, you know, she crossed the finish line. I recorded her crossing the finish line, and she was like, I loved crossing the finish line. It was everything before that I hated.
And some people will do any distance race for that feeling, and that's totally valid. Nobody has to like drink the Kool-Aid like some of us are doing. Of like, we're in it. We are, but everyone is a runner. You don't have to be a marathoner to be a runner. I try to stay away. Like it's so inevitable, the comparison trap. Strava, to be honest, I like once my run is done, I'll like give it a title. I'll like change the shoes because I do track my mileage via
Me
Strava.
too.
And then I like give a couple likes to the first kudos to the first people I see, and then I shut it down because I just don't have the time to use that as like a comparison method. And I know as a coach, like I coach athletes of all distances. There's no athlete that is higher ranking in my mind because of time and pace. So it's way better and mentally stronger to just know that your pace is your pace and your pace is just fine. It's great. And everyone wants to be better, but being better faster isn't the only way to be better.
And you kind of brought up my next question. So I know you talked about you upload you run the Strava. It's like the Strava requirement of like, it's not going to say afternoon run. It's going to have a title. It's going to have my shoes on there because I track my shoes on there as well. It's so easy to do. But, and then you like a few and then you close it down. But inevitably that before a marathon, you have a lot of doubt creep in, right? And you have a lot of this can come from your comparison of individuals that you're seeing on Strava, on Instagram, things like that. What do you remind yourself so that I know you talked about some of the things already, but what other things do you remind yourself so the comparison doesn't really creep in?
I think for me, the comparison is with myself of the expectations we set for ourselves. When I go into races where I have a time goal, a sweet friend of mine just reminds me all the time. She said this once, but I remind myself all the time of like, you're either going to do it or you're not. You're going to hit that time or you're not. And it just puts it in so black and white of like, it's either going to be that dream day or it's not. And I've had the race where I PR'd and I hit my goal and the next day was a normal day. Like we do just keep moving forward and it's not always about the time on the clock. I think another thing that helps me with that comparison is just knowing that I'm going to run the best race that I can that day. We have no control over some of the conditions that we face
Mm-hmm.
and to just make the most of it because we do get to do this another race where you can finish or even start. Some people can't even get to the start line and that's hard, but another race I can start and end healthy, I'll take it.
Sorry, I had to check something real quick.
Mhm.
Love that black and white thinking because when I run my marathons and I realize I'm not hitting the goal that I want, it becomes like a mind game for me of like, can I hit this pace? Can I hit this pace? Can I hit this pace? When in reality, it should just be, I didn't hit it,
Yeah.
and I just
Go
have
ahead and take the most of it. Yeah.
exactly. I just have to kind of roll with it and finish with what I can. I did Berlin in September, and it was 80 degrees.
You had to adjust.
My goodness, it
I
was terrible. I'm awful running in the heat because I overheat very quickly. And I remember calling my wife at like mile 17, and I was like, I hate this. I
Mhm.
don't want to do this, and I think that I want to quit. Luckily, she was able to talk me down from that, but it was it was probably one of the biggest struggles I've had during a marathon, and I saw so many people go down, like
Of
so
course.
many.
That's what I hear of just in a way of like making running safer from here to the finish line. That's the goal. Like I've had athletes who had hot races this year, and it's like I love it when they say aborted the whole plan. I mean, I don't love that they had to change their plan, but them getting to the finish safely and them being proud of that as like the takeaway from the race, that's big.
No, exactly. I mean, it's disheartening when you break your
Yeah.
goal because I did Tokyo or not Tokyo. I did Berlin in 2022 for the first time, and I wanted to break 4 hours, and I was like so gung ho on it. It was like such a struggle, and I finished in exactly 4 hours and like seven
Well, how
seconds.
you
I
did
was
but it's right there.
I was so mad
Yeah.
because I run into like stomach issues during the race and all this stuff. And when I ran it again this year, I finished in exactly 3:30, and that's not what I wanted at all. But I realized, I could have been one of those people who passed out. I could have been. I saw people. I saw an ambulance come onto the course. I saw people doing CPR. Like it was bad, and I was like, I finished in a decent time. It could have been really bad.
Yeah.
I'm just happy that I'm good. And I mean, a win for me is not necessarily the finish time. It's I crossed the finish line and I don't need to go to the medic tent
Yeah.
because I want to stay for like half of my marathons. I needed to do that
Yeah.
in some way for my legs. But luckily, for the past like 2 years, I've crossed the finish line and I've been like, you know what? I'm okay. And that for me is
Great.
probably the biggest success.
Some Charlie horses at the ends of one, and I'm like, "Oh,
Whew. Yeah, when I did Berlin in 2022, it was incredibly funny. I crossed the finish line. I got my medal. I don't really remember most of it because I got my medal. I leaned up against a fence. This guy said to me, "You don't look so good." I passed out. They pulled me over to the medic tent, and as soon as they lined me down, I think it was my right calf. I saw it just twist, and I screamed. It was the worst pain of my life, but luckily that hasn't happened
and better
since.
that happened where you were instead of at mile 12."
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would have done if I had flown like what, like 2,300 miles or something to run a race and then not finish. I would beat myself up if I didn't finish like New York, Chicago, something like that.
Yeah.
But I could do it again because it's in my country. But if I paid a lot of money to get here, and if I can't finish, I would be heartbroken.
And I
Just
know that that is true for so many people, like,
mhm.
with not just that Berlin race, but in general, and it's such a testament to, like, what we runners are willing and wanting to put ourselves through of, like, taking that risk. Nobody wants to get on a start line and, like, know they're not gonna finish. But yeah, I mean, going all the way to Sydney, you always see the numbers of people who didn't finish, and you're like, "Wow, like, I did that."
Yeah,
It's impressive.
yeah.
And there's
It's
always more races. For the people who don't finish, there's always more races.
absolutely. And you could train perfectly. You could have the most incredible, like everything comes together. My speed workouts, I hit all my targets. I hit all my hill repeats. I hit all my easy runs. My heart rate's low for my easy pace and it got faster. And then you go and you run that race. And it doesn't matter if you're professional or if you're doing your first marathon, it could blow up at any moment because of any reason. It doesn't matter because your body it could be your body just deciding, I don't want to do this today. Something's going to go wrong, or the weather, whether it's too hot, too cold, rainy. Like when we step onto that starting line, like, yes, our mindset is, I'm going to finish. But what you learn during running an actual marathon, not necessarily the training, but during running the marathon, is like how to quickly pivot and
Yeah.
move through those issues so that hopefully you can get to the finish line.
Which that
Um,
right there, like, when people and as a coach, when we say, like, practice your long runs like race day, fueling, outfit, it's
yes,
to prepare yourself because something's gonna go wrong. You're gonna drop a gel maybe, um,
yes,
and, like, do we freak out about it or do we just, like, get another one? Like, it preparing for the unknown and, like, I've done so many of them, but I still learn something new about myself every single time. Um I think that's the best part. And I do think that is why, at least for me, that's why I keep chasing this. I am not trying to do, well, I am trying to do 50 by 50. That was the goal I set for myself at 20. I'm well on pace to hit my
I
50th.
see that.
Before that, Tokyo will be my 42nd 42K.
I was
I
just
can
thinking
love
about that.
numbers.
I saw your account. I saw it's funny that you're at 42K.
Yeah, I don't plan that, but I do. I'm not Taylor Swift with the numbers scheme, but I do think it is like happenstance.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think knowing, there we go, that preparing in your training runs for that is so important.
My goodness, yes. I can't tell you how many practice runs I've done, and I mean, it's funny. I run when I did Berlin, so I ran in my race outfit multiple times to train for it. And then I went and ran Berlin, and I ended up I had surgery here, and I have a scar that's raised. It's never happened before in my life, but that was the only part of me that got chafed.
I'm sorry.
And I've worn that company's outfits so many times before, and so it was really surprising me that that would happen. And you kind of segued into my next question, because yes, the marathon is not new to you. You've run 41. You've Boston qualified 20 times, and
That
you've done a 119 half marathon, which is just like, that's a dream for me. It's 10 minutes faster than my PR, and I was dead by the end. How has this distance, this 26.2 miles, how has that changed how you see yourself, not just as a runner, but just like as a person?
I always like that distinguishing that I am a runner, but running is not everything for me. I think running has made me the best teacher I can be, and the best sister, daughter, wife, even though running is a huge time commitment. I sometimes we can all feel like we're selfish and sacrificing so much when we're choosing to go run instead of doing something else that could be equally important, or missing something because we have to get our run in. Um, it's just it's part of who we are. Running helps me be time organized, patient, dedicated, goal oriented. But I just cannot imagine, like, me at 20, who was just like, a friend was said, let's do a marathon. And I always knew I was going to run when I was older because I did cross country, and soccer was my main sport. But there's one thing about saying it, and there's another about doing it. And I grew up in Philly. So Philly was my first marathon in
Nice.
2014. So I did it last year as like the 10 years back, and got to be an ambassador, which was so special. But I don't know what my journey would have been in like the last decade if I wasn't on the path that I am. I've been lucky to train and travel. I think traveling for running and racing in general, it's getting so expensive, but just the ability to know that that's where I choose to put my time and energy and finances towards. Every Christmas gift I could ever want would always just be another race.
Hmm.
Um, but I think it's made me the best version of who I am, and we all fall short. I want to be better, and I think that's still part of it, of wanting to be better tomorrow than yesterday and today. And running helps me cope and process stuff. So
Yes.
I don't know the path I would have been on. I don't think about that much, but running is just something I'm so grateful and that it's in my life, and coaching and now guiding other runners. There's so many aspects of this sport that I haven't even tapped into that I want to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you talked about your friend talked you into doing this, and they said, "Hey, let's sign up for a marathon." What, and you say you did cross country, but minus the cross country, what got you into wanting to do this? I mean, obviously you love them because you've done 41. But what got you into this marathon running besides that?
Yeah. I did not know what to expect my first one. It really was like she was doing one, she signed up, and I signed up. I didn't show up to race day with any gels. I didn't know what they were. I thought that, like, you just show up and everything was there for you. Oh, I had no idea what was coming. And I think especially when I coach new athletes to their first race, or when someone says, "What's your advice for the first race?" I mean, I could say like, "Oh, have your gels," but I think everyone knows that now with the social media and nutrition facts out there. But it's really like you don't know what you don't know, and I just can't wait for people to find out, whether it's a marathon or a half or a 5K. Like, I've had
Mhm.
friends from high school reach out and say like, "Oh, I've been following your journey, like, you've made me want to just, like, go for a jog." I'm like, "That's everything to me."
Mhm.
Not that's why I do it, but that's just, like, the impact we have to just spread what brings us joy is gonna help someone else find something that brings them joy. And so the first one turned into, like, me telling my older sister, "Hey, let's do one," and she trained in New York, and we did the Rock and Roll DC, and she was like, "Never again." And I'm like, I genuinely think I'm liking this." I was so close to breaking 4, and I was like,
Mm.
"Okay, I think I can do this." And then I studied abroad in Italy, and I did one in Florence, and I'm like, "I've done an international marathon, like, I could do all these." It's not been a goal of mine ever to do the 50 states, 'cause I was
Mhm.
like, "Well, I've done international, I've done DC, those don't count." So,
Yeah.
but it was this, like, when I made that goal to do 50 by 50, I had no idea that I was gonna get so hooked that I would start to do, like, 3 or 4 a year. But I wouldn't say it wasn't until, like, 2019 where I
Mhm.
genuinely took it more serious than I was before.
Okay.
I didn't have a GPS watch until 2018. So I was running these races being like, "I think I might Boston qualify," and I was like, "No, I was not." I had no idea what pace I was running. But 2019 was my breakthrough year, and I'm grateful for everything before that moment, because
Mhm.
before 2019, I'd still done 18 marathons.
Yeah.
14 it was 19 by the end of 19, and I did 6 that year. That was my biggest year.
Wow.
But that was also when the majors, I had done 2 in 18, 2 in
Mm.
2019. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get these majors pretty quickly," and then COVID happened, and that was like,
Ugh.
so any plans we set for ourselves, just know that it could take so much longer. And I think that's given me so much grace to know that, like, the next time goal I set, you mentioned my half time. I'm like, that half marathon time equates to a PR that is like 10 minutes faster than what I'm doing now. And what I'm doing now is really fast still too. And the mental grappling of that has been what I've been working on this year, of stepping away from trying to like PR in time. And I think through that process, I'm like really like I could do it. I'm like, I know I can do it now, instead of like, oh, I know on paper I can do it. Cause yeah, Tokyo, I've got some big goals, but I'm also approaching it with like the it's gonna happen or it's not.
Yeah.
Life is gonna go on.
Very, very, very true. Now, when you're let's go back to one of your marathons. Let's talk about one of your early ones. You're at mile 20. What does that version of yourself look like? Who are you, and how do you talk to yourself during that time? Because we know that that's the moment where either everything falls apart, or
Mhm.
it gets really difficult, or you might have a
And
great time.
yeah, I think my first one, I actually have like the perfect photo captured. It's in Philly. So when you're coming back from Manayunk, there's just rolling hills.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a picture of me walking with my hands on my hips, exhausted, just looking
Mm-hmm.
down and not smiling. But I look at that photo a lot, and I actually sometimes post it before races because it's a reminder of like, this is hard. We're we can we're delirious if we think it's going to be easy. And I'm so proud of that version of me that's like hands on the hip exhausted, um still taking steps forward, uh and knows that I'm going to get to the finish line. Cuz then I also have a video of me at mile 25 being like, going. I'm like, those two versions of ourselves can exist in the same race.
Mm-hmm.
We can feel thousands of different versions of ourselves. And then you cross the finish line. And I've always wanted to cross that finish line and realize like I didn't just forget everything that happened. So I have a lot of gratitude for the version of myself that didn't give up, because it's so easy to want to just like roll off that course when it gets hard.
Oh yeah,
But it takes another kind of grit to just keep moving forward. And that's definitely one of my mantras.
definitely. Yeah, it's funny. My race photos in 2021 for my first marathon was New York, and in my head, I was like, I'm gonna get so many like cathartic photos. I'm gonna be crying, and it's gonna look beautiful, and people are gonna be like, "Oh my God, look at you with all this emotion." They are terrible. They're on my profile, but I'll send you one. It is whenever anybody talks to me about marathon running, they're like, "Oh my God, you run so many races and you run all the time." I'm like, "Yeah, but look at this photo."
I
Because
have
I'm
some
like,
bad ones, but I will say, and maybe I'll toot my horn. I think I'm really good at finding where the photographers are, because
"Yeah, me too."
I do run pretty happy. I do run joyful, because I do run with that feeling of like, oh my gosh, I get to do this. And that feeling takes my mind off of the clock. Like if I'm
Mm,
feeling good, I'm like, why not just keep going with this? I don't often look at my watch, um, because seeing a time that it scares me can do the mental game of like, oh,
yeah.
you're going too fast, or oh, you need. I just kind of let it go. I did a half this weekend and I ran with a pace group, so I didn't look at my watch at all. But I do know where those cameras are, and I'm like, you're gonna get a good photo out of me.
Well, that's one of my
And
goals too when I
pace
do my races is I always try to find I get really mad actually when I find out that like there's a photographer or the company that they use doesn't have like signs or something up that shows you where they are, because then I'll look at my photos and be like, I would have either run towards you or I would have like posed or looked
Yeah,
better if
yeah.
you were actually visible. Because I have some really bad ones, and I do get really good ones, but when I show the good ones to people, people are surprised because like I'll
Mhm.
pose and I'll do all this stuff. They'll be like, "Oh my goodness, how do you do this at like mile 25?" And I'm like, "Because this was me at mile
Yes.
26.2 in 2021, and I didn't want my pictures to look like that again, but also." As you pointed out, you are 1,000 different people during those races. I have a picture that I didn't buy it, but I should have bought it. I did the United Half in New York, I think in 2022, or 2021, and it was very cold in the morning, but I overdressed so much. I was wearing leggings, shorts. I was wearing a t-shirt, but I was wearing a base layer as well. I had gloves on. I had a hat on, um, and it got really hot for me after like mile 10. And there's a picture of me in Times Square. I was holding my camera. Like I saw the camera look at me and I just went, and it's one of the best photos of me because I'm walking and I'm just like, I fucked up.
Yeah.
Like I fucked up. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, yeah, it's funny. I've learned to never purchase photos before the race, and I
Yes.
love free photos, but I also know that, like, that's their job too, to take photos, so if I love one, I'll get one.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, exactly. Even if there's only a couple, I'll get them
Yes.
because it's as you pointed out, people yell at me all the time for the money that I spend on running on my races, on my travel, and the shoes and everything. It's people say it's an inexpensive sport. It is 100% not.
It's not. It's so
But
not.
but I tell people, I want to live life. I want to have experiences. I don't like obviously I buy these things for running, but I don't need I'm not looking to buy material goods to have things. I'm looking to purchase experience so that I can, talk
Absolutely.
about them in the past, like in the future, and know that I've lived a full life. I've been able to have these moments where it's been just so incredible, and doing things that people could only dream of. There's so many people that want to run, as you pointed out, the majors, and it's difficult because not just about getting in, but
Traveling.
it costs several thousand. Tokyo costs several $1,000s just to get there and stay there, and the food and everything you have to pay for,
Yeah.
and it's out of reach for so many people now because of that.
Yes.
So we remind, as you pointed out, we remind ourselves of the gratitude of like I get to do this. Like this is incredible. Like I can't believe that I get to run in London, in Berlin, in Tokyo, because it's just like I have so many people that have reached out to me that have been like, how do I get into this race? How do I get there? What do you recommend for like flights, for hotels, and all this stuff? Because
So many ways.
you have to. I mean, you're a teacher too, so you have to find out how to do everything around that period of time, and it's a huge logistical challenge, but also a huge financial burden.
Yeah. Yeah. Talking about race dates, it's something where like you have to make your life work around that race date, that one day of the year. And
Hmm.
it wasn't, I mean, I did Sydney in the fall and Tokyo this spring. So this was like a unique school year for me where I'm like, I hope I can do both. Like this is a life dream of mine. And it was okay. It was okay. But like not everyone has that ability to just like go do all of them every year. It's some do and some don't. And I think that's just a conversation in the world of running that's still happening and going to happen for a while as they add more.
Absolutely. Now I want to jump over to talking about recovery and your balance of real life and we a lot of people talk about their running, they talk about their paces, their PRs and things like that, but not a lot of people talk about the intentional recovery that we need to have as runners so that we obviously don't get injured, but also so we don't burn out. And you're very intentional about recovery now. What's one thing that you used to overlook that's now kind of completely non-negotiable with your running today?
A couple things. One would be I still probably to somebody looking at my calendar of races do a lot. Like I like to do 3 to 4 in a year marathons.
Mhm.
That's a lot for people.
Yeah.
Um, Now, what I've been doing for 10 years isn't going to work for the next 10 years of my life as I am in my 30s now. I definitely feel the need to take a little bit more time to recover after that. Um, but also just adding in more intentional strength work, things I wasn't doing a couple years ago. Um, and then when I was first getting into having a coach, I'm like, oh, yeah, this is on my calendar. And now, like, it's part of my week. I'm not going to miss that, as well as viewing PT as a like preventative
Mm,
addition to our
yeah.
training and not just like a, oh, I'm injured. Let me go get this fixed. It's like we always fill our gas tanks up in our cars when we need gas to keep going. And I've started viewing like I think of our bodies as like cars. We need to do maintenance on ourselves. We need to be able to not run on empty. And I have experienced that burnout feeling of racing after racing, and it's got to be fun for me. So this year, more so than ever, I've been okay with just not going to a race if it's not going to suit my overall goal for the year. So
Yes.
becoming smarter about quality versus quantity of races.
Hmm.
I would race every day if I could. I
Oh,
don't love it for the time. It's the people I get to talk to on the start
yes.
line and the I just love that part.
Yeah. It's funny this year, because of the Strava comparison, I worked out in some sort of way last year every single day, whether it was like a stretch or I did meditation or I ran strength training, cycling. This year, I did not, and I have multiple days where there's nothing. And so I looked at like my Strava in review, and I was like, "Oh, it says I'm down 10% for last
My
year."
least favorite thing they've added is this, like, down percent. I'm like,
Mhm.
"No, we don't need that."
Yeah, and my mileage is down from last year because I took some days off, and you pointed out I did not do several races this year. Like I think I probably skipped at least 5 minor races,
Yeah,
5 or 6, but then I didn't run the Philly Marathon this year. I was supposed to. And that still eats me up a little bit because I feel like I could have done it, but
it's gonna be there next year. I
so
remind myself all the time. I have the races I've skipped are ones that I've done a couple times, and I'm like,
Mhm.
"What where did that become a goal of mine to do it every year?" Like, it's not yeah.
Yeah. The only non-negotiable for me is doing New York every year because
Well,
I it was my first marathon and I lived there for so long and it's nothing. There's nothing like it.
I got the bug to do it again. I haven't had the itch to do it again until this past fall. I'm like, "It's because they got great weather."
Well, 2022 was terrible. It was
Coastal.
like it was like Berlin level heat, and then they ran out of cups, and it was so hot. Oh my goodness. But thank you for talking about that recovery because it's so, so important because I've run burnt out and it's you, especially if you want to go in and do really well in the race, if you go in on empty,
Yeah.
there's no way to go further down when you start. You're just going to be empty the whole time. And that's going to catch up with you real fast. And you're going to hit some massive wall that's just going to like cause you to either DNF or it's going to cause you to finish in a time that you don't want, which then you'll beat yourself up about. And I agree with you on PT. I have a great physical therapist who works on me every once in a while. I like him so much that I'll go up to New York City to see him. I live now in South Jersey.
Okay.
And he's a wonderful guy. We're actually friends, and I love his family and his two baby girls that he has. Shout out to Eric Chan. But thank you for bringing up, especially as a coach. I know it's very different to talk about recovery as a coach versus just like an average runner, because as a coach, we know the importance of the recovery, and it's very difficult at times to teach that to someone who's like, I just want to go fast. I just want to run. I just want to be able to become like the best runner that I can be. And they think that they just have to go, 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 go. And then suddenly they're injured and they have to stop, and they lose a portion of that progress they've made because they've had to stop for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And then they beat themselves up about it. And the importance of balancing your training versus your recovery, as you pointed out, is just like, it's absolutely necessity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I want to talk about reflecting on your past races, on your past marathons, and also advice. Now, as you pointed out, not every marathon is a breakthrough. You've done 41. It looks like you've qualified at least half of them for Boston. What
Okay.
was an okay race that you thought that it taught you that a great race doesn't need to happen every single time?
Yeah, so many. I'd say, they're all so beautiful in their experiences, but like most of my races of the 41 were okay races. I talk about that breakthrough year being 2019. Before 2019, I was truly running just to run more races. I wasn't, and that's where like most of my times were like around the same. I wasn't really breaking through. I was just like running the same window of times, but it was like, I'm going to go run in Newport. I'm going to go run in Cape Cod. I'm going to go run in Providence. Like I was really checking off these locations to like see new sites. And it was like where I was living. I was living in Connecticut at the time, and now I'm in North Carolina for a while again. Um, and so my okay races were those ones where I'm like literally just like taking it all in, not worrying about things at all. But I'd say like in the last 3 years, an okay race would be one where I'm running maybe 15 minutes off my PR, and the goal wasn't to PR because I would consider that like a tougher race.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like I've hit my plateau. We all have the plateau feeling, and I'm at one right now. And it's a beautiful place to be because it's like, oh, well, we're not going down and we're not going up. But you finish and you're like, oh, I didn't know what the goal of that race was. And I'm okay with a race that doesn't have a goal. I think it's kind of hard for me to start Boston every year without a time goal, but I do get on the start line and I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do today. Like I have no idea. And it's the only one I've really done multiple times. So I know exactly where on the course I've had breakdowns and breakthroughs and moments. So I'm like, oh, I felt stronger last year at this point. But an okay race is one where I'm just like, put the medal on, take the shower, celebrate it for sure. But it wasn't like, there wasn't anything unique. There's been races where I don't hit a wall and I'm like, that's a great day, even though it's an average race. So there's so many different ways. My least favorite question is when someone says, what's your favorite one? I'm like, give me categories. I need like sites. I need time. It's so special, all of them. And kind of have to think of all of them in order because I
Oh,
forget.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, especially, it sounds like Boston's probably up there for you since you've done
It
it
is.
20
It's
times.
special. I grew up summering in Cape Cod. I've had family friends who were like, are you going to run the race? Like when I was like 18. And I'm like, I don't know, I think. And then my first Boston, I was a charity runner. I didn't know that I would qualify one day. It took me 19 marathons it took me 14 marathons to qualify. In 2019 was my first qualifier. So
Wow.
I trusted the process.
Yeah. Now, my last question for you is going back to that Maddie at your very first marathon. We're talking to somebody, as you pointed out, who didn't bring gels,
Yeah.
doesn't run with a watch, so you're running by feeling. Or even right before that, where you're thinking about getting into marathon running or something like that. What is one piece of advice that you would give that person who's just getting started?
So many things of just trust the process and know that you will learn so much more about yourself that you don't even know, and to not take yourself so seriously. And I think I've done a good job of not doing that. And I think where I've had my mental hard moments with racing is when I start to put too much emphasis on one thing, whether that's like the PR or the race. There are some races where everyone's like, "Oh, it's that race because it's super flat." And you're like, "I really like rolling hill courses. My
Mm,
kind of course is Philly, is Sydney, is Richmond. Give me some hills. I will take them."
mhm,
But but we that first race that you're training for and or just like if you're getting into running and you're new at something, it's like, don't take yourself so seriously because you're gonna fail yourself then. You're going to let yourself down. And it's way more fun to just be like, so what now what? Like, so what that run happened and now what am I gonna do? Where like runners have the craziest stories. I think it's the best.
yeah.
Uh, but when you have all of these like collective little moments that add up, you're like, that's what it's all about. Like I'm a big fan of like the little moments are the big ones.
Mhm.
Whether it's like I'll see a weird sign or like a sticker on a post and I'm running and I'm like, I'm booking it. I'm like, I have to stop and take a picture. I'll stop because I'm like, what am I gonna regret later? Is it like the life moment where someone put a kindness rock on the side of the road and I want to take a picture? And that's what I'll post. Or is it like, oh, I ran this pace for this many minutes? It's not as important as like the moments of joy that I like find everywhere.
That's perfect. I love that. Yeah, I love the little moments during a race. It's so easy to focus on just the breathing and on your pace and what you're feeling at the moment, but getting out of your head and looking around and just realizing like I'm here. All of these people are believing in me. They don't know who I am. Look at this funny sign. Look at this kid who wants a high five. Look at these people handing out
Like
shots of
sign, high five person.
exactly. It's wonderful when that happens. Now this next section is what I call the hot seat. These are just quick questions, top of your mind. Don't think about them too long.
Okay.
I have about 10 of them. So we'll start with the first one. Favorite running shoe brand right now?
New Balance.
Early alarm or late run?
Early alarm.
Okay. Long run solo or with others?
Others,
Mhm.
always
Sweet or savory post run meal?
sweet.
What would it be?
Oh, I'm always one to stop at Starbucks and get their like iced lemon loaf. Don't judge. I will take everything. I'm a matcha drinker too, so it's like sweet tea,
Mm, okay. You talked about it earlier, but music, podcasts, or silence on easy runs?
music,
Music. The one piece of running gear that you can't live without and you can't say your shoes.
my watch,
Okay. And what is your dream race?
Paris.
My
I
friend's running that
want to do
next year.
Paris once I'm done the majors. Yeah.
I want to do that too. I'm probably going to try to do in 2027 if I can.
Okay.
And now a couple of closing questions that I have that I ask everybody. This is just information that I'm collecting so I can share it with others. If you could pick one quote or mantra or a line during those tough miles, what would that be?
Keep going. It's
Mm.
been mine since the beginning. I have it tattooed. I see it on signs. It's just so simple.
Oh, I love that. Oh my God. The simple ones are usually the ones that hit the hardest. And now I want you to picture yourself, you're in Tokyo. You have You've passed the cobblestone, you turn left, you can see the finish line. You're gonna get that 6 star.
You would know. I
Or
don't need to know that. You would know
what
what this area looks like.
yeah. Um, which by the way, for like the last like kilometer or so, it gets really narrow. So just remember that. What song is blasting through your headphones as you cross that finish line?
Oh, either Fight Song by Rachel Platten. That was finishing when I did my Ironman. Or like Sia, which Unstoppable. That song.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's classic. I have that on my running playlist too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, those are actually all the questions that I had. Maddie, I just really want to thank you so much for joining me today.
Great.
I appreciate your honesty and how grounded you are when it comes to your running journeys.
Yeah.
And the talk about the good days, the bad days, everything in between, and that your approach to showing up is, as you pointed out, you keep going, you trust the process, and you run without chasing this idea of what the perfect marathoner is. And it's something that I think a lot of runners really need to hear. If you're listening and you don't already follow her, you can go check her out at marathon_mads94. If you've ever felt stuck in the middle of your training, or if you're unsure about if you're doing enough, her page is a massive reminder of consistency, and that it matters more than your pace. It matters more than your finish time.
Oh, so good. You're so good.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Maddie. Take care. Like I said, I really want to thank Maddie for joining us today. It was fantastic to speak with her. Her experience and her background and just the overall approach that she takes towards her running is something that I think so many people can learn from, especially if you're a new runner. She is a coach. If you live in the Raleigh area in North Carolina, feel free to reach out to her. But I also really want to thank all of you for joining us today for At Your Own Pace. Whether you're walking, you're jogging, you're racing, or you're dreaming about just getting started with your running journey, I want you to remember that you belong here, regardless of your pace, regardless of your finish time. And until next time, I want you to keep running your own story, 1 mile at a time, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.